Hello everyone, it is Ziplox here with ZipLogic Gaming, and I am coming at you here with a video on how to build Zac, the secret weapon in Season 3. Now, builds to me are not about 6-item finished builds, but they're about getting the most efficient stats on your champion, depending on what lane you're against, what team you're against, what role you need to fill for your team, and how your champ scales with the game. And now, as I'm talking about these stats that we're going to be building, keep in mind that Jungle Zac benefits more from the tankier and utility builds, because he has less income to work with, and generally speaking, defensive stats are going to be a little better. So, just whenever you're seeing more of the Aegis and the Iron Solari, that those are more things, or utility items that are more common that you're going to see on Jungle Zac, although you definitely will see them built all the time on lane Zac when it's necessary. Now, in my opinion, HP is probably our most efficient stat on Zac, and this is because part of Zac's passive cell division. Each time Zac hits an ability, he sheds a chunk of himself that can be reabsorbed for 4% of his maximum health. All of Zac's abilities cost 4% of his current health. So anytime that you're building HP, you're building yourself HP regen as well, and you're getting more HP regen the more health that you have. So it's a cool way to scale HP regen, and any time on a champion that you are building HP, MR and armor are going to get a lot more bang for their buck, with more HP to go through, with that MR and armor applying to it. So if Zac needs to get really tanky and become a heavy CC utility tank, he can. And again, I'll briefly mention HP regen here because it's a good early stat for Zac, but as to a Spirit Stone and a Warmogs, you're going to be better off getting a Spirit Visage. You could get a Spirit Massage too. A Spirit Visage to maximize your regen. And as we've seen here, Dyrus builds an early 2 rejuve beads, and this is common. We will see it again with Wickd later in this video. And I also want to look here, we are looking at Dyrus's starting build, like I was saying, and he has a ton of HP on basically every stat. And I'd also like, while we're here, to mention Spell Pen, because as we can see, the 2 AP items that he's built, well, not necessarily AP, but the 2 mage-like items that he's built are both Spell Pen. That is because when you have a champion that does percentage damage, and Zac's kind of bread and butter damage dealing skill is his W, which does percentage damage, percentage health damage. Whenever you have something that scales with enemy health in some way, then almost always Spell Pen is going to be more efficient than AP, and this is kind of in the same way that it works with Elise. Because you're not going to get as much damage added to that skill with more flat AP. You're going to get more damage with making that big amount of damage pushing through more and ignoring more of their MR. So, anyway, again, we're looking at Dyrus here, and we'll move on. Cooldown and AP are important stats on Zac. Zac has a pretty solid set of AP ratios. He has a 50% ratio on his Q, his stretching strike, which also slows, and his W, unstable matter, deals percentage health damage. It deals a flat amount of damage with percentage health damage on top of it, and every 100 AP that you build increases that percentage health damage by 2%. That's a good amount. And his E, Elastic Slingshot, deals a whopping 70% AP, on its ratio, and his ult deals 25% AP as damage as well. So every ability that Zac has AP on it, and every ability that he does will also heal him. So cooldown is a must. Regardless of how tanky or DPS oriented or utility oriented I choose to build Zac, I almost always build a good amount of CDR on him. Now we are looking here at Alex Ish, and we get to see right away, yeah, he's building both some cooldown, some AP, and some spell pen. And like I mentioned before, spell pen is a very big deal, which is probably why we see Alex Ish here building Haunting Guys. And really, the only other major AP option I feel like that I see looked at is definitely going to be Abyssal Scepter. And that's when you need that nice MR reduction, you'd like to get tankier, build some MR, and you can build, you can build more damage. You have enough pen to build some AP, because it's almost always going to be more efficient to bust out that Haunting Guys earlier than busting out that Abyssal Scepter. So just keep that in mind here. And again, we're looking at Alex Ish here, and we have a slight difference. As we can see, we have the Rejuve Bead and Sight Ward and Health Potion at our start. And we have a first item back of a Kindle Gem, getting that cool down right off the start. Kindle Gem is a wonderful first back item on him, if you can afford that. This star right here, Kindle Gem, 2 wards, and a Health Potion, that's a dream. That's a great first start right there. Anyway, let's move on. Okay, we are going to go ahead and take a look at what some of the pros are building here. And here we're going to see Voyboy taking a Regrowth Bead and 5 potions and a ward. And this is what I consider the safest start for Zach, and we've already seen it a few times with the other builds that we've looked at, with both the Dyrus build and the Alex Ish build. We saw this Regrowth Bead, ward, 5 potions start. And that's because it's really safe, and right now, you know, the jungle's a scary place, and if you have there's a lot of really popular gank-heavy junglers, and starting a ward is the smartest against those guys. So anyway, other instances, because here we see Voyboy, he looks at both the Ruby Crystal and the Doran's Shield, and while he's taking a look at these, he's probably considering, you know, how aggressive can I be? Can I afford not to take that extra health pots in the ward? And, you know, occasionally, if you have a really good lane matchup, and Zach has really great matchups at mid, he has a lot more build options at mid, so, you know, you can take more other interesting items at the start, like going with that Ruby Crystal. So, anyway, there you have it with Voyboy, and just feel free to build the more aggressive items if you're going to be in a lane where, you know, you might not need the health potion in the ward. Here we see Wickd building 2 regrowth beads and health pots. And with this build, he can play more aggressive, he can trade harder, because it's hard to match Zach's HP regen off of his abilities, and with that extra health regen, it adds a lot to his game. Wickd is likely taking this more aggressive build, being at the bottom blue side. When you are playing top lane and blue side, the tri-bush is on the enemy side of the lane, making it easier to evade ganks without a ward. And like I said earlier, you can always take these more aggressive wardless starts when you have a low threat early jungler. So like when you don't have that gank heavy jungler, you can feel free to play around with these builds. Just tune it to your playstyle, and, you know, again, try not to look at builds in this static way where you think that you always need to build something the same way. It's all about who you're against, and it's all, you know, there's a myriad of things that it has to do with. So for early game buys on Zach, keep an eye out for Kindle Gem, Haunting Guys, Giant's Belt for HP, Chain Vest for heavy armor gearing, or Seeker's Arm Guard, and occasionally the MR from Spirit Visage might not be enough. And if you aren't building a Bulwark when this happens, take a look at Abyssal Scepter as an option as well. It's really good if you're snowballing and you want more damage from the MR, and while you still want to get tankier. Also, we will see Runic Bulwark being built pretty often on Zach. If your jungle or support aren't stepping up, Zach sure can, so keep an eye out for Emblem of Valor on your first back as well. On jungle Zach, make sure that you're getting Spirit of the Ancient Golem. What it does for your clear speed and regen and HP and cooldown reduction, it's undeniable. You must have it when you look at Spirit of the Ancient Golem. So always look at Spirit Stone for definitely for one of your early first back buy options. Now, I used to really like building Boots of Lucidity on him to max his CDR, but it doesn't appear people do that anymore. I think the spell pen is just too good. So, people are building Sorcerer's Shoes instead, most of the time, on him. And, this of course is always situational, just like all boots are. If you're a jungler and you need to build boots mobility, speed 5 boots, then do it. That's very common. And you'll still see like TheOddOne and many junglers who still are always building those 5 boots. It's just about your playstyle. Builds are about your playstyle. Note that from Iron Solari, Randuin's Omen, and Thornmail are built on Zach for different situations. Solari's great against the AoE comps. Randuin's and Thornmail for when Sunfire and Frozen Heart aren't really cutting it for serious armor, and you might need a little more killing power. So anyway, take a look in the descriptions for the rune masteries and setups. So here we have the TheOddOne building Zac, and I just wanted to show that more utility side of Zac that I was talking about. Here we have the tank from Ninja Tabi, we have Bulwark and Solari, Spirit of the Ancient Golem. We got a lot of cooldown, we got a lot of armor, a lot of stuff for the whole team to enjoy. So, this is just another good look at showing that, hey, this guy is not linear on how to build him, and neither is any other champ. So, there you have it. Hopefully you have a more in-depth understanding of how to build Zac the Secret Weapon, and tell me what champ you would like to see built next in the comments. And of course, your subscription is appreciated if you liked what you saw. Thank you for watching, YouTubers. Adios.